Okay, welcome back to our third video and our final video of making content comprehensible for English learners and PSYOP strategies and activities. Like I said, this will be the last video, and I know we are all busy preparing for the end of school and the beginning of summer, so I'm going to make this session as short as possible. Okay, and now I'm going to implement one of the strategies that we use in the classroom all the time by reviewing what we've previously learned before moving on to the new content. So we know now that PSYOP is an acronym for Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol. And BICS and CALPS is what we talked about when the student may be able to communicate in everyday language and basic skills with their friends. However, they may not get the academic language, which they may not be able to describe the photosynthesis process. We also talked about can-do descriptors. This is what you regular ed classroom teachers need to look for. If you think you have an English language learner in your classroom, you will be provided a can-do descriptor, and all this is a chart that shows you exactly where that student's language proficiency is and what they can do at that particular level. We also talked about how you already have content objectives and how you will add the language objectives in your classroom. And then we talked about the 8 components of PSYOP. Okay, and the beauty of doing the training this way is you know where the videos are, and if you have any questions or need to go back and review, or I know the second session was rather lengthy, then you can just pause it, rewind, go back next week, whatever you need to do to complete the video training sessions. Okay, also, if you have not joined the Edmodo group, please do so. I did a screenshot of the group, and the group code is MO0LZJ. And it's right there, MO0LZJ. And I really want to begin using this a little bit more and having more of a dialogue about the best practices in the classroom through sheltered instruction. So if you haven't joined that, please be sure to do so. We'll probably keep it up and running probably through summer, and then probably again through the beginning of the school year. So we can review some of these things when the new school year gets started. Okay, and now we are going to be talking about strategies and activities to use in the classroom that go hand in hand with sheltered instruction. And I found this neat handout, and it's 3 pages, and I will post it also on Edmodo. So it breaks down the PSYOP components and features, and alongside those PSYOP components and features, it offers strategies and activities. And I'm going to challenge myself to use one of these different strategies and activities every day to make sure that I provide learning for each one of my individual students. And the first component of PSYOP is preparation. And it gives strategies like add a glossary or word bank, enlarge adapted text, graphic organizers, outlines, scaffolding, whatever you need to do to help your students learn. It's just like when you're planning a speech or a presentation, you always have your audience in mind. That is what you should do as a teacher. You're always thinking of not only the content that you must teach, but also the students whom you're teaching the content to. Also, you have the next section is building background. You are constantly trying to link the bridge of what your students already know and what you need to teach them. So whether this is a KWL chart or most important word or carousel, brainstorming, anticipation guide, concept mapping, anything to get information out of your students of what they might already know. And the last component on this sheet is comprehensible input. This is taking the knowledge that's in your head and trying to get to your students. However you need to do this, whether it's through guided listening or role play or recast or think alouds, however, or vocabulary cards, you are trying to take the knowledge or the information of whatever content and make it comprehensible to your students. And really, without this step, I think everything else is for naught, because if you cannot adapt the language or whatever you need to adapt to make the lesson comprehensible, then is there any use in teaching? So that's our main concern, to make the knowledge that we have comprehensible to all of our students, not just our English learners. Okay, the next is strategies, and this is just giving ample opportunities for students. And we all know that you have to provide different strategies for all the different learning styles. So this can be anything from note taking to quick draw or quick write, or you're the teacher. Sometimes if you give them a lesson that they have to teach, to be able to teach it, they have to know the material. So that's a good way. Cognates. Cognates are words that are alike in both languages. So it might be hospital and hospital for Spanish and English. So you really want to concentrate on certain cognates like that are the same in both languages, because that's going to be words that your English learners are going to understand. And a variety of question types and higher order thinking skills. We have to apply these in our lesson plans now. We really want to help kids think at a higher order, and really not just those yes, no type questions. We really want to get them to think outside the box. Okay, and then next is interaction, which I think is very important to give students opportunities for interaction. Yes, the classroom does need to be orderly. However, that does not mean like maybe we once thought before in the older days, where you sit and do not say anything and listen to the teacher lecture the whole day. Interaction, we need to make sure that students are talking with each other, talking with the teacher, and it provides ample opportunity for the 4 competencies of language, which is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. All of those need to be present in the classroom. They just give tons of strategies and activities for the interaction part of SIOP. Stand up and share. Take a stand. Talking chips. The talking stick. Think, pair, share. Any of those. Numbered heads. And I just gave you a list, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight one and put it in my lesson plans until I've used all of these, because I just think they're great to incorporate in the classroom. And like I said before, sometimes we get bogged down on with everything else, and we just teach the way that's maybe comfortable for us. And sometimes we have to back up and look at ourselves to make sure that we're actually providing different strategies and activities for each of these learning styles. Okay, and the last one is practice and application. This is hands-on materials, language skills, read, write, listen, and speak. You can play bingo, card games, concept sketches, cooperative dialogue, pass the picture, text recall, so vocabulary go fish, role play. So these are all activities where they can take the information that they know, the comprehensible input, the information and knowledge that they know, and actually apply it. I use this a lot in my classroom, because if they cannot apply the language, does it really matter if they know which is the verb or which is the subject if they cannot apply the language? No, not really. So this is a very important part of the PSYOP and your lesson. Okay, so we've talked about strategies and activities that go along with the focus and practice and application. And now we're talking about the closure of the lesson. And we're at the PSYOP component and features for lesson delivery. And this is the delivery that supports the content and language objectives that were clearly stated at the beginning of each lesson. You can do things such as idea wave, manipulatives, quick write, response frames, secret answer, four corners, give one, get one, take a stand, thinking maps. There's tons of activities that go along with the lesson delivery. The most important part, I think, of the lesson delivery is that it has a high student engagement, which is 90% of the time your students are engaged. I think that matters. They're not actively learning if they're not engaged in the lesson. And also, pacing matches students' ability. The student is not going to be engaged if you've gone off and they still didn't understand the first thing that you're talking about. Then they're automatically going to give up. They're not going to be engaged. So you need to all the time informally check your students to make sure of their understanding. Okay, and the last is review and assessment, which includes key vocabulary, key content concepts, feedback on student output. Students as well as adults love feedback, and continuous checking of student comprehension and learning. There's several things that you can do here, just as simple as hand gestures. Give me a thumbs up if you understand what we talked about today or whatever the topic is. So these do not have to be these things could take 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or less. It could be an exit ticket or anything. And there's a list that you can see, and we'll put these on Edmodo. And I would like for you to share any activities or strategies that you already use in your room that support the PSYOP model. Like students, teachers are always still learning and looking for great ideas to use in the classroom. So please feel free to share those on the Edmodo page, Sheltered Instruction. Okay, and the last thing I want to talk about is using the iPad initiative for English language learners. Our English learners are no different than any other students in our classroom. They love their iPads. And I've just made a list of some of the best apps to use with English learners. But sometimes the iPads motivate the students a little bit more as far as taking risk with the language. They feel more comfortable using the iPads. So I would suggest that you use some of these apps in your class, and it's just this is just a help. This is not to use as a Band-Aid to put the English learner over in the corner with the iPad. So the iPad becomes the teacher with the English learner. But this is just to incorporate some of these apps. And these apps actually will help, most of them will help your regular ed students as well. I want to mention the kidioms on the bottom, the last one. If there is one thing ESL students tend to struggle with more than anything else, it's the sorting out the meaning behind common phrases and idioms that we use from day to day that we do not realize, that we take for granted that everyone knows. For example, I had a foreign exchange student in my class, and we were playing Simon Says, and I looked around and I knew he looked sort of lost, because he was always had a great personality and was always ready and willing to participate. And he finally, I said, do you not understand? Have you never played this game? No, I've never played this game. And so the other kids started talking to him and showing him, this is how you play. If she doesn't say Simon Says, you don't do that. You've got to to do it, you have to hear Simon Says. So he says, okay, okay, okay. And so we went back and I started playing the game. And he said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Who's Simon? So just everyday things that we take for granted that our students may know, our English learners, they do not know. It's raining cats and dogs. Well, they may look out the window and actually think it's raining cats and dogs, because in Spain you say that it's raining frogs. So there are so many different things that we have to be careful about when using the language that we say from day to day, and it's common to us and we take for granted that everyone knows, but our English learners, they do not. They do not understand. So that's a great one for that. Okay, and you've got ESL Express, words frequently confused, like produce and produce, and English is one of the hardest languages actually to learn. Rainbow sentences, preposition builder, and on the other page it had speech tutor. I showed you the funny video of the man trying to say hamburger. Sometimes it's very hard for the student to articulate the words. So just them talking, they're afraid that they'll say a word wrong. So this might be something that they could take home and practice with on the iPad, and so it doesn't have to be, then they can replay and actually see how they sound. They don't have to really say it out loud in front of someone. They can simply record it and then listen to it, play it back, and then listen to how it's supposed to be said, or the sounds. So these are just a couple of things that I wanted to mention, and that wraps up our third video. And thank you for watching. And you may say, well, I really didn't benefit from that video. There was not really a lot of new material, and that's exactly right. That is one of the big reasons why we chose the sheltered instruction observation protocol to implement in the classroom for the English learner, because at Jasper City Schools we're already implementing the best practices and scaffolding, and we're already using sheltered instruction. So there's really just a couple of tweaks that we have to make, but we do not have to change our whole classroom environment. We are already doing this and providing this for our students. Also, I'll be posting videos along, and some handouts like the one that we talked about today on Edmodo, so make sure you join that group, and I hope everyone has a safe and fun summer. Thank you.